On August 15th, 1935, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed into law the Social Security Act, which enacted the benefits commonly known today as Social Security. On August 16th, 1935, the U.S. Congress decided they would never talk about Social Security ever again. So today, Spencer and I are going to discuss what scares lawmakers more than anything, an overview of Social Security. So Spencer, we're going to start off by talking about claiming strategies for Social Security.
Yeah.
So what are some key things that are crucial to understand about Social Security?
Yeah, I think as we lay out our time together today, first we want to say there's a lot of complexity here.
Yeah.
There's a reason that lawmakers don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. The complexity, the underfunded nature of the trust fund that funds Social Security, and then a populace that really likes Social Security, likes to get those checks, combines such that Congress really doesn't want to touch this issue. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but there's a lot of complexity. And so what we are doing in our talk today, giving an overview, we're not going to dive into the particular claiming strategies of folks. What we're doing is providing some bonus content there for people in different arenas of that claiming. So individual filers, couples who will be filing, because there's some complexity in terms of how a spousal benefit might be calculated or the best way to go there. Now, if anything, actually Social Security has cleaned up their act a little bit, and they have gotten rid of some of the more complex ways that you could file, that were available 8 or 10 years ago. So it is actually a little bit more simple, believe it or not, than where we were at 7 or 8 years ago. And then we'll also have bonus sessions that apply to folks who are individual tax filers who are divorcees, who have within the Social Security system, perhaps they were married for 10 years or beyond, and so they may have capacity to file for benefits based on their ex-spouse's earnings history, or if their ex-spouse has passed away now, they may be able to file on survivor benefits there. So there'll be some elements that we get into that bonus content, and then we will have one specifically for widows or widowers who have some different options in terms of their claiming strategies. So that's all bonus content. We will dive into that, but we want to talk about an overview today. And as we think about that overview, what we do want to come back to is we've done a deep dive on Social Security funding, that trust fund that holds the funds and will be in all likelihood around 2033 depleted. We've done a deep dive on that. There's a presentation that you can click on to be able to see more of our thoughts there. Suffice to say, the trajectory is such that the trust fund will run out. Our thought is that Congress will act at some point. It's not a priority right now, but sometime between now and 2033, we do think that they'll get their act together and that they'll do a variety of different things to be able to shore up the system. So that probably means, for folks that are in Austin and I's generation, it probably means that full retirement age is not going to be 67 anymore. It probably is going to be a year or two later, or maybe even more. It should also mean that there are some other elements, like potentially increasing the wage limitation there, so that people who are higher income earners may be paying in more during their working years. There's some different levers that they will try to pull to be able to shore up the system, because nobody wants a 20% cut, which is roughly speaking what would happen in 2033 if nothing is done. So we'll see how that goes from here until then, but if you want a deeper dive, again, we've got resources and content in that arena as well.
All right, so let's talk about those benefits that you can get from Social Security. Who receives Social Security benefits?
Well, Social Security benefits actually extend beyond that old age insurance component that most of us, when we think Social Security, we think about, okay, what happens in retirement when I get some benefits. Social Security actually has benefits that are provided for folks who are disabled or have certain medical conditions as well. That those are provided through SSI and SSDI. We will not be getting into those particular arenas, but if you become disabled, there is a process that you can walk through to be able to get benefits. I will say that it is rather cumbersome, and oftentimes you have to get an attorney involved to be able to jump through the hoops properly and go through the hearings and such to get those benefits. But that is one of the pieces of Social Security, is being able to provide for those who have certain medical ailments, and then also those who are disabled. But today we're going to talk about that old age insurance and what that looks like. And so Social Security, basically you qualify for that old age insurance if you have 40 credits. You can get one credit by earning a little over $1,000 on an annual basis, and you can earn up to 4 credits per year. So if you think about this over a 10-year time span, if you earn a little over $4,000 each year in that 10 years, you're qualifying for Social Security, you're qualifying for also the Medicare benefits that are there, that are on the medical side of things, of course, for folks who are 65 and older in most cases. That's how you qualify. You can also be a spouse of someone who has those benefits. Right. You need to have been married to that person for at least 10 years if you're divorced from that person now, or you need to have been married to them, I believe, for a year to be able to qualify for spousal benefits with Social Security if you're married to them, or if they passed away when you were married to them. So a lot of different complexity in there as well. But what this boils down to is Social Security is going to look at your earnings history over time. They're going to look at kind of the entire earnings history that you have as an adult. And they're going to take the 35 highest years of income after they index your income to inflation.
Right.
So, if you were working in 1980 and you had $30,000 of income, why, that $30,000 of income would buy you a lot more in 1980 than $30,000 of income right now.
Right.
$30,000 of income in 1980 was a nice salary. Now there's a different level of goods and services that you can buy more than 40 years later. So what Social Security does is they index those components, or index that income relative to inflation, and that gives them an idea of your highest 35 years. Right. Then they're going to take that 35 years and they're going to calculate what's known as a primary insurance amount from that. They're great at acronyms in the government as a whole, but Social Security Administration does a great job with acronyms. So the primary insurance amount, or the PIA, is what they're calculating. And what they do, it's a complex formula that I won't dive into here, but they're basically going to tilt the benefit such that they're going to replace more of the income for a lower wage earner than a higher wage earner. So everybody gets the benefit, for the first section there, that they're going to replace more of the income. And then as you slide up the next couple of layers, you're getting less of your income replaced.
Right.
There's an element there where the government is trying to make sure that folks are not going to be dependent on government funding for their basic needs in retirement. So they've shaded or tilted the benefits towards those lower income folks with the intention of not having them, again, dependent on the government. So look at the highest 35 years, they calculate that primary insurance amount, and the primary insurance amount is actually the amount of income that you would receive if you file at full retirement age.
Right.
So once we have that primary insurance amount, then we can use that to be able to slide that number, that income number, up or down based on when you actually file.
Yep.
Because some folks do file at their full retirement age,
right,
but the majority of folks don't.
Yep.
They either file before or after their full retirement age. So roughly speaking, if you defer beyond your full retirement age, you're going to add 8% per year to that benefit amount. So if you, up to age 70, so if you file at age 70, and your full retirement age is age 67, then that's 3 years of 8%. And so you get 24% higher than your full retirement amount, your primary insurance amount based on your full retirement age, I should say. So that would be, roughly speaking, if we had $3,000 as a primary insurance amount, you would have a little over $3,700 if you defer to age 70.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side is also true. You can claim as early as age 62. But if your full retirement age is age 67, then you're going to take a haircut on that primary insurance amount in terms of the amount that you actually get. And that haircut, roughly speaking, is 6% per year. So you get about 70% of the income if you claim at age 62 when your full retirement age is age 67. So again, if we did that estimation where you have $3,000 of income at full retirement age, you have a 30% haircut, now you get $2,100 at age 62.
Yeah.
So the good news is you start getting benefits earlier, but you get a lesser amount.
Right.
And we'll talk about claiming strategies again in that bonus content, but that's what you need to know there. Now, once you begin those benefits, the other thing that we want to say is you do get a cost of living adjustment typically on an annual basis, and that's based on another governmental calculation related to the Consumer Price Index. So typically you'll get some kind of bump up there in that Social Security benefit. The other thing to bear in mind as well, if you claim before your full retirement age, but you're still working, you also need to be aware that you can't make more income than a certain threshold that's about $18,000. Because if you do so, then you've got to start paying Social Security back for every dollar above and beyond that.
Yeah.
So something to bear in mind, if you're still working, typically you don't want to take benefits prior to age 67 or whenever you quit working.
That's great. That's a helpful overview. So what are maybe next steps for people to take?
Yeah, I think one of the things is to be able to go ahead and log on to Social Security Administration.
Yeah.
So that's ssa.gov. Walk through their process of verifying that you are who you say that you are. They may ask some fun questions about, what car you drove 25 years ago or, where you lived 35 years ago. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to verify that information. Yeah. Sometimes their records are actually wrong. So there are some steps that you need to walk through to be able to set up an account with ssa.gov. But getting that statement can be a helpful thing because then we can use that to help you understand the different claiming strategies that you might be able to employ when you get to retirement.
Right.
So that's one of those pieces. The other thing is it's important to recognize that if you have a spouse that's passed away or a divorced spouse that's passed away, we may need to be able to work with Social Security Administration to look at their records as well, because that can have a bearing on the strategy that would be best for you to take in this process.
Well, that's great. That's really helpful information, Spencer. Thank you. So as you guys watch the bonus content, we just want to remind you that none of this is prescriptive. If you come to us, we will work with you as an individual to figure out what is maybe an optimal strategy for you. Don't take the videos, these bonus content videos, and say, oh, Spencer and Austin said it's best to claim at 62 or it's best to claim at 67 or 70.
Right.
You need to work with your financial advisor. You need to work with a professional to determine what are the best next steps for your situation.
Right.
So enjoy the bonus content, but take them as a next step, not as prescription.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we'll see you soon. This content was provided by Retirement Planning Services. We're in Knoxville, Tennessee, and you can visit our website at www.seriousretirement.com. The information in this recording is intended for general educational and informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment advisory, financial planning, legal, tax, or other professional advice based on your specific situation. Please consult with your professional advisor before taking any action based on its contents.